great event, I hope so. I got a few slides I'm going to show. Let some of our sponsors talk, and then we'll get to our presentation tonight. Bruce is got some good stuff for you, okay? ODUG, I'm president. The secretary is Chris Chubb. Chris is not here tonight. He's doing a deployment, and he must be important because he would have showed up, I'm sure. Daryl's our director of education. You probably know Daryl. He's out in the hallway there. Walt is our director of marketing. Thank you, Walt. He gets all of our good swag and stuff. Brian Scarborough is our founder, and Will Stroll, who some people know, was our past president. Okay?
Who? And fewer people will admit it too.
A bit of news here. I'm sure everyone has seen version 7 of the C2P.
Woohoo!
Yeah, thanks. It's nice. I just looked at it.
Beta.
Yes.
Beta.
It's in beta as of Friday.
Yep.
Okay, well, beta.
I can put that on.
Okay. And hopefully by the end of the week we might see those question marks removed. I don't know. We'll see. We'll know. Not tonight.
Unofficially, November is the release.
There's the
You might hear something about that tomorrow, maybe. I don't know. Or the day after, rather.
Okay, we're gonna have an after party here at TGI Fridays, which is pretty close by here. I've got some maps, so anyone who wants to go over and have a beer and actually stretch a little because it looks just a little hot and stuffy here. Afterwards, we're gonna go over there, and everyone is invited. So I hope everyone goes over there and stays late so you can get up late tomorrow. Car didn't invite.
Fall asleep.
I'd like to thank some of our sponsors for this evening. Applied Eye, Jess, and the team they host our website. Code Smith donates a generator. Teleric's got a control center which we'll be giving away tonight, and a couple of very nice module providers have donated stuff for us to give away as well. So thank you to all of our sponsors, and I hope that much appreciated. This is just a thank for Jess. He's been really good. If you guys need a web hosting, check Jess or check Tony. Thank you to all. The venue this evening was provided by Future Media Concepts. Mark Spalding is the representative. Mark Lyon. Mark, you want to tell us a little bit about what Future Media, what you guys do, and
well, first of all, I just want to thank everybody. This is a heck of a lot more than I was expecting. I'm glad that I could help them out, though. Yeah, I'm happy. I feel bad that I'm not bigger. What Future Media Concepts does is we are Apple Gold Certified Training Center. So any of your IT people, Line 101, 201, the 300 series, iPad support, deployment, we do all that. Just the training, we don't actually support the people. And then all the Adobe products, Avid products, we are certified for training. We train on these nice, beautiful computers here. We have 3 different types of iMacs that we train on. We can also boot them to Windows for people who are PC users. We're located in 7 spots in the United States, and we have 8 branches overseas. We do all sorts of different shows, all sorts of different discounts and everything else. So if you ever get a chance, it's fmctraining.com. If you enroll in multiple classes, it's a lot cheaper. Anybody have any questions? I mean, I don't want to take all your time up talking about FMC.
Thank you for the space.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming out. I appreciate it.
okay, and moving on here, Chris from Four Corner Resources has sponsored the pizza that everyone is in everyone's stomach now, and so Chris, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Kurt. Yeah, I just wanted to say, like you said, I'm with Four Corner Resources. I hope everyone got some pizza and some drinks. My cards are out there. Right now we have offices in Orlando and Tampa, so we'd love to help you guys. We have some great clients in the area. We'd love to place you guys somewhere. And even if you're not local, we'd still love to have a chat. Hopefully we'll be a national company one day, and hopefully international for you out of town. Yeah, grab some pizza and drink, guys. Enjoy. Nice meeting who I did. Enjoy the night.
It's always nice when you have sponsors for the group for the meeting. So. If no one wants any information, they can at least fill their stomachs. So anyway, tonight Bruce Chapman from iFinity is going to be speaking about URL best practices.
Who?
Bruce, something like that. but before Bruce gets started, for those, there are some faces here that I do recall that were here at the ODUG meeting last year prior to .INDIC World. And you may recall that Bruce was the winner of the first annual ODUG International Geography Quiz. Now, if you don't remember, he successfully identified, I believe it was the Netherlands. He picked it out on a map, so he was the provider. So,
I think he named every country in Europe, didn't he? He started
yeah, let me tell you something about the education system. You know?
Those other countries? What do you mean?
So anyways, seeing that he was the winner of the first annual ODUG International Geography Quiz, segue to the second annual ODUG International Geography Quiz that I'm going to tell you about now. There will be a quiz at the end of this presentation, so pay attention. The quiz will be worth, successful correct answers will be worth prizes. So that's why you have two raffle tickets. Write the answer on one of them, return them. Yes, Mike?
Austria.
Starting with A, right?
It's called
Go down.
ODUG. Okay, the objective is we are a nonprofit initiative to disseminate geographical information to those individuals that have either forgotten what they learned in grammar school or never learned in the first place. So we aim to teach. Okay, so the mystery country for tonight's quiz. I'm going to show you the outline of a country, and you have to identify it. Does anyone know what country this is?
Rhode Island.
Look kind of like New Jersey. I was supposed to say Jersey.
Any ideas? Any ideas?
Well, it's not Italy. We can, not Australia.
Like a boot? Okay.
We can eliminate a couple.
About if I
Australia.
a little. Yes.
Still don't know.
George. Okay, well, the mystery country tonight is Australia. In honor of our two Australian guests, our two Aussies, Scott McCullough. Scott, raise your hand there. Scott Ventrian. You might have heard of his company. You might have heard of him. And Bruce, who's also. So, let's learn a little bit about Australia. Australia has. This is the travel log in 5 minutes. Sayers Rock, we have the Great Barrier Reef, we have good old kangaroos, Ball Bears, Sydney Opera House.
They're not bears.
Does Scott know what that is?
No.
Are they Marshall?
Yep.
No, it's a sand jay.
I know I worked at the
We'll
zoo,
wait for them to come up with an
volunteered
answer.
at the zoo for Blinky Bill, and people were like, koala bear. No, it's not.
Okay.
Don't forget Vegemite
So,
sandwiches
yes, we are in
too.
Australia. Australia, it's about the size of the U.S., 6th largest country in the world. You can see it superimposed there on the map.
Makes Australia look like it's got a
There's
penis.
the flag there, with a nice Union Jack up in the left-hand corner. Now, we don't just show pictures. Now you can have.
Words too?
Okay, let's look at the largest city. Wow. Clockwise, we have Darwin, Brisbane, and Brisbane I think is close to where Bruce lives. So Bruce lives like a little south of there, I guess. North? Oh, a little north of Brisbane. Moving down, Sydney, this is where Scott's from. Okay, a little further down, we have a city called Canberra, which I've never heard of. No. And Perth. Does anyone know which of these cities is the capital of Australia? Yeah, don't open your mouth. All right. Okay, and last but not least, there's an island down here south of Melbourne. Does anyone know what that island's called?
Tasmania.
Tasmania, that's correct. You can see there's a little devil there.
Yeah, the double.
Yeah,
The
that's
details are in the doubles and the
Okay,
details.
so we're gonna have a quiz now, and everyone's got two tickets. Can you hand out some of these pens here? We're gonna grab a pen here, and what we're gonna do here, the instructions are on there. Got a pen here.
I shamed Jim in the back.
Or you can share.
I said, does the department have an iPad? Oh, I guess Leonard kind of absconded that.
Please return the pen.
I said, our park is really neat. I like it.
Anthony, where are you from in Australia? Sydney. Sydney, okay, so we got two.
Oh, it's gonna be multiple, but he's European these days.
Okay.
Oh, I
Yeah, I know,
did.
he's like a world traveler.
I thought he's from Jersey.
Okay, so the, pretty simple little quiz here. The only thing is that you can't get any help from any Aussies here for the answer. Okay, so.
So Anthony's good.
I'm gonna give you about 30 seconds here, or about a minute, that's all you need. Does everyone have a pen?
No, not yet.
Well, pass it.
I was born in one
Sure.
Oh, you need
Because you teach, they'll put in the one that they have.
Oh, I thought it was it.
I mean, I knew it was a
And then they'll keep
You
the
wouldn't
other
want to say that
ones.
when you were there because you make people win.
Okay, we're ready.
Set.
Paying attention.
Exactly.
Hugh.
Okay?
Australia.
Okay, I'll show you. Okay. Here we go.
Oh, okay.
Oh, fine.
Oh, that's no start.
Must be, oh.
Yeah. Not gonna happen. Well, I like the one with the dot net nuke.
It's not O. Okay, Liza?
Oh, it should be.
Like O?
I'm ready.
Not the extent of my,
I'm ready.
Photoshop.
Alright.
Okay, so,
Of course, my pen works.
pass this around and, just put one in.
Alright, then we gotta find it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pen doesn't work.
They're brand new.
And your point is?
You gotta return the pen. These are ODUG brand pens.
One more chance for him.
I like it.
So,
These are guaranteed not to be stolen pens.
which country is the manufacturer of the pen?
5 letters begin with C.
Okay. I wasn't gonna play the Jeopardy music.
I would have done like 2 flags. 6 letters.
It would have been easier too.
Well,
Put in one, but.
everyone should only have one ticket, is that correct? Yep. Okay, great. Oh, well.
Well, if you pull yours out, we'll go with yours.
Okay. So, let's see how everyone did. Has everyone turned in their answers? Okay. Okay, so here's
So,
B. Correct answer was B. Did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? Who got it wrong? Just out of.
I got it wrong.
I still think it was no. I had to know, but I just I didn't think so.
I got one another.
All right. Don't worry. You'll still be in the drawing because we're generous. We're a generous group. Okay, so fun aside, little mini geography quiz. So now, Bruce, come on down. Bruce has come here, and I gotta preface this with right after last year's ODUG meeting, Bruce said, Kurt, I'd really like to present at ODUG. And I said, well, Bruce, we have a waiting list of like a lot of people. You spice up spice it up a little. So I said, well, what if I give everyone a copy of URL Master? And I said, that sounds good, but they've already all got one. That's what he said. So. No, I'm just kidding. But Bruce, thank you very much for volunteering, and take over. Okay.
Thank you, Kurt. Well, it's a pleasure to speak here with so many people, and it's an honour to be asked, to be honest with you. I actually put together a short, I'm just going to try and work this Mac, I might need some training.
Big people right here.
Yeah, that's good. Nothing. There we go. I actually put together a short geographic quiz as well, so luckily there's no overlap. And so with mine, was pretty much the same topic, but instead of writing on pieces of paper, what we have is a genuine Australian caramello koalas.
Oh, excellent.
So if you know the answer, Australians can't answer, you get one. So can anyone tell me how many states are in Australia? There's the map.
4,
5.
5.
So 6.
6 is the correct answer.
6.
Anyone else want to lie?
Was this for you?
Yeah.
I was hoping to trick someone out and say, there is a map of the state lines, and those who are awake will work out that there's actually...
I was right.
The trick is, as I ruined, this is the Australian Capital Territory here, which is a little bit of land carved out in the same manner as Washington DC. And this is the Northern Territory, which used to belong to South Australia here, but they split it off. But it didn't become a proper state because the states weren't defined in the Constitution. So there you go. That is the list on that. Oh, I was actually supposed to. Sorry. Anyone name the states?
Northern Territory.
Tell me which one's Northern Territory. Name's not very good. I didn't make sure you said. All right. What was this one?
Western
Western Australia. Correct. Well done. Where do you know this one?
Tasmania.
Yeah, how about I just this one?
Victoria.
Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria. As I will show you there. All right, that's the fun for the moment. I hope one person's not hogging that whole bag. So what we're going to talk about is .NET Nuke URLs, best practice for administrators, editors, and developers. How many developers have we got? Quite a few. Okay, and people who would consider themselves administrators or editors. Okay, kind of got the topics pretty well spread out, so we can all learn something. As you've made out, I've become well known for URLs with .NET Nuke, which is something I kind of fell into, but it's something I have taken an interest in. So what we're going to do is go through a brief history of the URL. So going back to Tim Berners-Lee, we all watched the Olympics opening ceremony. We saw him there with his next computer under the house. The URL was designed to be an integral part of it. So the problem in the old days was that you couldn't pass links around. You couldn't hyperlink two systems together. If you had one system and you wanted to merge it with another, you had to merge the links. So the idea of the URL was to make a completely globally unique system. So you didn't have to merge link databases.
That was Al Gore's idea.
So the three standards of the web are addressing scheme, common protocol, and the format negotiation so that the machines can talk to each other. And URL, which is Uniform Resource Locator, is just a type of Uniform Resource Identifier, which is a globally unique thing that doesn't impact. If you think about a URL, you don't know what it points to. It's just something on the internet. So you don't know what operating system it's from, what type of server it's from, anything like that. It's just a link to a thing on the internet. And so URLs are the glue of the internet, holds the whole thing together. And like this model plane here, you've got to get the glue right, put it together. So your .NET Nuke site is held together by the links. You've got to get it right, and you don't want to make a mess. Because if you think about it, we all think of websites as, we think of in .NET Nuke, it's an install, it's got portals, it's got pages, but really it's just a collection of URLs, and all of those URLs happen to look the same under the same domain. That's what makes us think of it as a website. So in the early days, I went on the Wayback Machine and got some URLs. This is an actual URL from CERN in 1997, and it's actually quite logically laid out. We can figure out that we're looking at some sort of conversion tool for filters. By the time the 2000s came around, we had CGI applications and eBay, and this is another URL from the Wayback Machine, and you can see it's just a DLL with a command line. And so URLs kind of started to lose this descriptive, we're looking at some filters in the converters and the tools directory, and we started to get to this sort of more programmatic type of thing. And it was really going away from the original intention of them. The next thing came along was the rise of scripting languages like ASP, and then we started combining the two, putting ASP pages into particular paths, and then feeding it a command line, basically. And what happened was Google came along, and Google's whole difference between the search engine that came before was that it was counting URLs and working out which were the most heavily cited pages and weighting them in that way. And the query string approach started to not work as well anymore. So what the response was the human-friendly URL, which is really just the thing to say it's more readable by humans. So to now, SEO forces. And SEO is all about computers being machine readable. So if you go back to the original statement I had there about the internet, it's about the content being able to be read by machines as well as people. So we're getting back to structured, meaningful, unique, and quite simple URLs. And .NET Nuke has been coming along this way. So again, on the Wayback Machine, I went back to 2004. This is the link from the home page of the .NET Nuke page, .NETnuke.com in 2004 to get to the forums. So if you hover over the forums link, that's what it coughed up, which is pretty horrific. Whereas now, this is the link to the forums page on .NETnuke.com. So hopefully by now I've stressed the importance of the URL as one of the foundational parts of the internet, and how that's going to help you hold your .NET Nuke site together. So we're going to go through, for editors, which was the first part of my presentation, and think of it, your link structure and your menu structure. The way that the menu gets built in .NET Nuke is by taking the pages, turning them into links, and so your page structure becomes your link structure, as we saw with the forums pages. So be thoughtful in the way you name and organise the things, and try not to go too deep. So what we don't want to do is use the link tracking option when we insert links with the HTML editor. That's what gives it those link click.aspx and a whole heap of other stuff there. And so when you're using the HTML editor in .NET Nuke and you go in and do an edit, you should use the page drop down, because that will always load the correct URL for that page, given the current configuration of the site. And if you're doing editing, if you're using a staging or test environment that you're going to then push the content upwards, you can chop the domain off and use a relative link. And that's a tip I like to give to people. So that if you're doing your content locally and you're going to copy it up to another site, then don't put the domain in, just make it relative, and then it won't matter when you move the content forwards. And in terms of search engines reading those pages or anything like that, it's not a problem. They know the domain and it's a relative link. So what we're going to do is cover a bit of on-page SEO with links for editors. So I'm pretty sure everyone will be familiar with the term SEO and what it is. You tend to divide it into two buckets, which is on-page and off-page. Off-page is things you're trying to do to other people's sites to optimize your site, which really means generating links back to your site. Obviously, you can't edit other people's pages. On-page means getting things right on your site, so that when you do get those links, you get the maximum value out of those links. So on-page SEO with the .NET Nuke site, you don't have a lot of control over the things, but we'll go through a few things. The site internal links are important for SEO, and by site internal links, I mean links between your different pages under that same domain. So obviously your menu structure is all internal links, but you also tend to pepper the content with links, well you should, pepper the content with links to other parts within the site. So links in the content are good for establishing pages with key phrases. What I mean by that is this is a link to the About page on the Awesome Cycles demo website that I did. And instead of just putting the About, you do something like this. and link that whole content where it's try out our awesome cycles and services, all the cycle services you will need. And by doing that, you're optimizing the keywords which are associated with that link to the actual page. Make sense? So footers, they're another way to drive links into content. If you go onto just about any site these days and have a look down the bottom, you generally see a big fat footer with a whole pile of links on it. And that's because people have worked out that it's a good way to sort of throw a lot of links between all their different parts of their sites and between related sites if you own them. So if you're doing something like, you might have international versions of your sites, you might put, you know, the international version with the little flags at the bottom or something like that. But just in the Awesome Cycles way, in the Awesome Cycles demo, I've just gone in, literally added a text HTML and said about Awesome Cycles services, cycling news and promotions. And that, if you looked at the top, that's actually slightly different to what the menu items are. And just by varying that content a little bit, but keeping it generally the same, you're associating more keywords with that link. And you might think about, if you've got a pretty big site, you could consider varying the footer for different parts of your site. So products, blog, forum. So if you're on the forum pages, you might have a forum specific footer, which either links to other parts within that forum. If you're on a blog page, you might do, what I do on my site is have popular blog posts, ones that people have read, got a lot of comments. You put links to those in the bottom of all of your blog posts, and so if people read that, they come in on a particular post, read it, and they see at the bottom and go, okay, that's good, I might read that as well. But it also tends to reward the success of the post that you've written, which is good. More visitors, more links, that type of thing. So off-page SEO, we've already discussed what it is. So promoting your site means collecting links from other sites. So as I said, you can't get onto you know, a government site and edit it and put a link back to yours. It'd be nice if you could. So you've got to find these. You've got to find these other sites and get them to create a link. Now, a popular way of doing that is to write link bait content. Everyone's heard of link bait?
Yes.
Couple of nods, couple of shakes of the head. So link baiting is really writing something that other people just want to link to. It's trying to go out there and generate links to your site. So blogs, posts, feature pages is a good way of attracting links. If you can get it onto a social media site and get it popular, that usually helps. So the ways to do this are write the list, it's the ubiquitous top 10 list, or use a provocative adjective, stirring up emotion. So what I might do is say 10 useful .NET Nuke tips on my blog, but it's a bit dry or whatever, so we might change it to 10 promotion-causing .NET Nuke tips, or 10 tips to prevent you losing your job, or something like that. And that sort of link bait will, yeah, you laugh, but you think, oh, okay,